Just out of interest, going on with the slack belt, I thought I'd check it out a little bit further just in case something had sort of slackened off on this axle. There's no movement in here, but it feels very dry. It's not a free movement in there, and I'm just wondering, does anybody know if that is a bearing or some sort of interference fit, or if there's a needle bearing inside there, because it doesn't actually feel very loose. It feels like an interference fit, and you can actually hear it making a noise as you turn the axle around. I thought it was something touching the wheel or something like that, but it's not. It turns out it's in here. So if anybody could tell me whether that is a bearing, because when you put your finger across it, it doesn't feel like a bearing unless it's a needle bearing, like what's in the actual wheel itself. I'd be very grateful if somebody could let me know. And again, I was wondering if somebody could tell me whether I've put this back right. I have two washers up against this face, and I have two washers up against the face behind, going into that recess, which I'm wondering whether is a bearing or not. So I'm wondering if I got that right, because I actually got them mixed up when I took them off. So basically I have two washers on this side and two washers on the other side. And now to explain the sort of slackness I've got, I mean, look at that. That's why I'm thinking it's the belt rather than anything else. I mean, that is massive, and I can't take any of that out by moving the motor around as described. It's elliptical, as I understand, but I mean, that you just can't take that out. So that's why I'm thinking it's the actual belt stretched rather than anything else, because nothing else has moved, if you know what I mean. There's no movement in the motor, there's no movement in the axle in that supposedly bearing, so I can't see anything that sort of collapsed it together, if you know what I mean, made it loose. My conclusion is it has to be the belt, and I don't know if you can actually see, but the teeth and everything on this are without any wear on them at all, so it's not that. I truly believe it's the age of the belt that's done it. I mean, I don't know if you can see in there, but I mean, you can even look at the frame. Look, it's just immaculate in there. You could eat your dinner off there almost. So it's not a matter of, I think it's like I say, it's as I said it's been sitting around for many years in a dry office, heated office, just sitting there getting covered in dust, and I think just sitting there it ruined the tyres and whatever, and I think some of the bearings have got a bit dry, but this actually all feels okay. It's not a problem, but I would like to know whether there is a bearing in there or whether it's just an interference fit. I don't know whether you can hear this or not, but you can hear the sound that it makes inside that part there. It's not stiff or anything, but it seems to be an interference fit rather than a smooth fit. It actually does tighten up at a certain point there, but not too bad. But I don't know if you can hear it. It's sort of there's a definite grind there, if you know what I mean. It's not free flowing. I've pushed quite a bit of grease into here, but it's still showing. It still doesn't free flow. It's better than it was. It's freer than it was, but it's still not a free flow, if you know what I mean. It's still there's no high spot on it anymore, but it's still not free, if you know what I mean. It's still binding in there slightly. I don't know if that's correct or not. I don't think it's got anything to do with this slackening of the belt. Like I say, there's no movement in there. It's just that I'm worried about sort of in the future if that's starting to overheat, because it's not right.